See, the trick is that the war just never ended. So now we're these guys called Sentinels. It's like the 1940s equivalent of like a commando SWAT team, and you go around just murdering people, civilians that happen to be armed. So I'm gonna save scum here, and I'm gonna aim at this guy's head. Now we've only got a 18% chance to hit.
Okay.
There we go. We got him in the head. That was worth the try. That's the other great thing about Silent Storm is the interesting translation for the dialogue. It's quite nice.
That was worth the try.
Have a good war. Let's hit him in the head again. Ah, he missed. Let's save scum. Ah, he missed. Let's save scum. Ah, he missed. Let's save scum.
You suck, man.
There we go. 2 shots of pure skill. All right.
In the head, and he's still standing.
Yep. Well, the poor guy, he hears commotion in his basement, and he runs to the doorway of his bedroom and gets shot twice in the head through the door.
And then he's still standing.
And he's got like a bat, and then he opens the door, and there's 2 people with guns pointing at him.
2 people. I only see 1.
Well, I've got my buddy down here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, this guy here. Boris.
You've got the gun pointed right at his face.
This is Boris, and I, of course, am named Toby.
Well, Toby.
Yep.
You have a gun pointed right at his face.
And this poor guy, he's got his reading glasses on. He was enjoying a good book, and all of a sudden...
Then why does he have like a little Nazi helmet symbol above him?
Because he's a bad guy. See, we got another bad guy over here that we can hear but not see, so he's just an ear.
I see.
And then over here we have, well, you can't see him at all, so I guess I just spoiled it. There's a guy there. So the nice thing about Silent Storm is
that you can save scum.
You can save scum, but you can also target specific body parts, arms, for example, the torso, the head. So we have a 61% chance of hitting his head, but the torso, 64, which is weird because I feel like
I think the
volume
fact that you're
is
3 feet away from him is contributing to your accuracy towards his head, and the fact you just capped him twice in the head through the door.
We're going to change our shooting type to a snapshot because it uses less AP, which means that we can just really unload into this guy. And I'm still going to save scum because why not?
You go.
Bang! Oh! His head shattered like porcelain.
You are a sick puppy.
Did he have anything good? He had a knife on his person, and he's like, nope.
And
the baseball bat is what I want.
decided to kill the person who had a knife, could have used it, but instead was defending himself with a baseball bat.
Now let's go stealth, and we're going to end our turn here. And now nobody knows where we are, except for this guy, because we just interrupted his turn. So let's shoot him. Bang! Bang! Oh, I missed. Bang! Oh, I missed. I keep missing. Well, I'm out of ammo.
I have to feed my weapon. You're right, the translation is a little odd. My weapon is hungry.
My favorite line is still, have a good war. Because,
have a good war.
I mean, it's a nice sentiment, but at the same time.
My revolver is hungry.
And I've got, like, look at this crazy scarf I've got going on. Incredible. Now, see, I'm out of ammo, which is a bit of a problem, so I need to grab this knife here. Well, I have to actually pick it up.
Phil.
There we go. Okay, now we have a knife. And I just misclicked, so now we're just in direct line of sight. Let's end our turn right here and see what happens. Unsurprisingly, he's trying to shoot me. So let's go stab him. And this guy's just watching.
Through the window.
He's going to come in through the window to stab me. But he's just going to get into position for now. Uh-oh.
He's gonna, oh, you've got a hatchet.
And the guy missed.
You missed. How
can we stab him in the head? Let's stab him in the head. Nice. And somehow we shattered the window in the process. I stabbed him in the head so hard that the shockwave shattered the brittle glass behind me. All right, this guy will cover me for a second. I promise we're going to get into Neverwinter Nights. I swear. I want to finish this because it's important to me.
Probably you being the old one.
Okay,
the only person on the planet who cares about this film.
This is a cool game. Later on, you get like little mech suits and you run around in like personal tanks and you're shooting people with MG. It's great.
That sounds wonderful.
And you can shoot through walls. It's an amazing game.
We have a question. How much time do you spend coming up with and setting up all these old games for the first 5 minutes of every stream?
Approximately 8 seconds because these are all on my Steam account.
These are all Phil's games that he loves to play, so This is why he subjects the rest of the world to Phil playing.
You must
his
suffer.
game.
Question about Baldur's Gate: Siege of Dragonspear from the audience. Any plans to do the subtitles in German? We're actually very interested in getting Dragonspear in as many languages as we can, and we're looking into some possibilities around that. It's very, very expensive to get translations done. We've been incredibly blessed by having a fan community who loves bringing these games to new languages. But for an entirely fresh game like Siege of Dragonspear, where there was no original translation to base that work off of, it's a huge volume of work.
I think the truth is it's a challenge to get quality translation.
That's true. Yeah.
It's pretty easy to get translation done. Like Have a Good War and My Gun Needs Feeding, and.
You might notice that Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, the first game, has an incredible German localization. So if you went into Siege of Dragonspear and there was suddenly a massive dip in quality before spiking back up for the BG2 German localization, that would be unfortunate.
It would hurt.
So we're looking at all of our options here. It's very expensive to do, but we have some interested parties, and we hope to talk more about that in the future. All right, I'll stop hunting Nazis here and get out of here. So, Trent, I hear that, beginning of June, we have a trip?
We do.
We do? I don't know. Maybe we won't talk about that. Maybe instead we'll just show you what we're going to be wearing when we go.
Oh.
So, there's rumors going around.
There's rumors.
Rumors. That there's this big event next month with Wizards of the Coast.
I believe it's called the Stream of Many Eyes.
Something like that. And apparently there's going to be people in cosplay the whole time, in character. And so, you know, keep an eye out. Maybe you'll see some familiar faces.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe you'll spot, you know, Rasad or somebody running around. Who knows? Who even knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
You really suck at subtle, dude.
I'm not trying to be subtle is the thing. I'm trying to beat them over the head with treats.
Phil is subtle like a hammer.
Subtle like a hammer. I like it.
Subtle like a hammer.
All right. So we played an old game. That's kind of our shtick.
That is your shtick, yes.
So this is the Friday Beamdog show where we talk about Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition, Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition, Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition, Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition, Baldur's Gate Siege of Dragonspear.
Neverwinter Nights.
Of course. Arcanum Enhanced. Oh, wait, no. We didn't get that one, guys.
Yeah,
sorry.
That didn't happen.
Also not on that list, Icewind Dale 2 Enhanced Edition. We're still looking for that source code.
Yeah, if you have that source code, we will find you.
We will find you, and we will hug you. That's right. So news about what's going on at Beamdog right now. So first off, we have a new Beamdog.com that's going to be launching in the very, very near future, so keep an eye out for that.
I believe it was supposed to launch a couple days ago, Phil.
It was supposed to launch a couple days ago, but then we had some delays with some stuff that we're going to be announcing.
Some stuff with some stuff?
Some stuff with some stuff.
I hate stuff.
Question from the audience. I don't see any swords or axes on the desk. Come on, Trent.
So
Come on.
I had made a Tonto knife, but I actually didn't bring it because I didn't have a chance to swing by my shop this morning and grab it. But it's cool. It's L6 steel. It's hard, and it's got a crossguard on it. I'm still deciding kind of how I want to do the handle.
People watch this stream for the sword. You know that, right? That's why they show up. They don't care about Neverwinter Nights. They want to see blacksmithing, information, and discussion.
I thought I was just putting that on people, much like
Twitch is diversifying.
Much like you and your old games.
That's still within the field of games. On Twitch, it's so rare to see, you know, someone talking about a craftsman's skill. So, all right. Question from the audience. When NPCs have no conversation triggers in Neverwinter Nights, they say, "I hear you," in a weird voice. What's the story behind that, and who's the voice actor? You probably have that fact locked away somewhere in your head, just ready to go in an instant.
No.
Okay.
Well, I am oblivious to this question. I have no answer.
An educated guess would be there's a default voice associated with all NPCs, and if they
and that default voice was probably just done by one of the actors who does the sound set.
Let's bring up Moby Games and look at the list of all the voice actors in Neverwinter Nights, and then we'll just pick one at random and say that it was him. Does Trent craft games the way that he crafts swords?
No.
I would say yes.
No,
There's a lot of brutal bludgeoning, dipping in oil, quenching, if you will.
Unfortunately, making games requires other people, which is the reason that I do blacksmithing, where I can do it all by myself and I don't need other people. because while people are amazing in terms of their ability to multiply the effects of what you can do, at the same time, waiting on people is not probably my strongest suit. I wait poorly. So I like blacksmithing because I decide something's going to happen, it's going to happen. And I just make it happen immediately.
What would team blacksmithing look like? One guy holds the iron,
It
the
happens.
others...
Haven't you seen it where there's like 3 guys, 4 guys standing around this anvil? Bang, 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 and they all hammering on the same part?
So do they like all decide what sword to make together? Is this designed by committee here?
No, it is
from
God to the master craftsman to the apprentice.
Okay. The apprentice. I like that word. I'm going to use that from now on.
Yes.
Apprentice.
Yes.
Apprentice. Apprentice.
Oh.
Okay, I'll stop.
Yep.
We have actually a really cool thing happening in Edmonton right now with an individual, the teacher actually in the local school district, one Mark Schubert.
Yep, the teacher is bringing the demons and devils of Dungeons and Dragons to students.
Bringing that 1980s panic straight into the classroom. Mark, you're the best. So he's actually got a GoFundMe going on for basically teaching kids to play D&D. So he's raising funds to purchase source books and miniatures and all sorts of fun stuff like that. Yep. And it's just a fantastic after-school program for all the kids.
Yep.
And if you read up, he's actually written quite a bit about what he's doing, and it's really, really interesting because he's like, as a teacher, as an educator, I can see that Dungeons & Dragons actually has many, many components that are excellent for teaching social skills, number skills, reading comprehension, all that stuff. So in his perspective, like D&D is an awesome teaching tool.
It's an awesome teaching tool, and it's also an awesome socializing tool.
Yeah.
You can get disparate people together who otherwise wouldn't communicate. They get into a setting and they get into their characters, and suddenly it's pretty viable.
They become a pack of murder hobos, and they run around the countryside stabbing people for small pouches of gold. Like, what's not to love about letting kids do that?
So that was the fear in the 80s, which is somehow we survived the 80s and tunnels and trolls or whatever.
Some kid's gonna make a character named Elf Star and just it's gonna go to hell.
It's gonna go to hell.
All right.
Anyways, so
yeah, go to his GoFundMe. It's GoFundMe.com/DND for YEG Kids. And I'll get somebody to throw that in the chat at some point. But it's super cool. Go check it out. And hey, if you are not in Canada or you're an educator or somebody and you see this and think, wow,
I should totally do that locally.
You should do that locally. It's totally easy to set up and people get really enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, although we gave Mark all our leftover books.
Yeah, so I actually gave him a few too many books because I actually am short a couple now.
Yeah. We're gonna have to raid the
Hey Wizards. I need
they
some
went to
more
a good
books.
cause. Can we back?
I swear I didn't waste the last 10 you sent me. All right, the Dragon Plus app. So Dragon Plus is the new version of the old Dragon magazine, which is digital now, and you can read it online. You can read it on your iPhone, your Android, your tablet, whatever you want to do.
Yes.
And it's really, really cool. Every month they have incredible articles about fun stuff, and in the latest issue, there are 10 copies of Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition that are being given away. So if you pull down the Dragon Plus app, which is free, I believe
it is free.
You can grab that and get a chance to win Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition. Dragon Plus is actually super cool because as a digital magazine, they're not really limited to just like printed articles. They can actually have like interactive bits of fiction in there.
They can do all sorts of interesting things in there. And there's some other articles are written by D&D team members,
including people at Beamdog.
Occasionally, people at Beamdog involved. I believe we had Chris Avalon write one for us.
We did, yes.
Yeah, he actually wrote a short story for Dragon, so for Dragon Plus. So you should grab it and then grab the back issues because Chris's short story was actually pretty cool.
We've also got some stories from Dave Gross back in the day. These are
all the early,
all the Enhanced Edition companions. We did stories for them, and they've shown up in Dragon Plus. Originally, those stories showed up on the Beam blog, but later we sent them to Dragon Plus.
Yeah, which was awesome.
So go grab it. It's cool. And there's also the D&D app that's out now. Wizards of the Coast have an application that lets you collect together all of the source books in a single convenient app. And it's really, really cool. Go check it out.
Here's a question. Will the 2.5 patches add achievements to GOG? The answer is no.
The answer is no. But we actually are working on it. We have a ticket for that particular issue.
Yeah, the issue is, every time some new platform does some new achievements, we have to go in and add code. Admittedly, it's not a ton of code. It's basically, okay, figure out the stupid way that they set up so that we have to tell them that we have the achievement.
It's not stupid, it's unique.
Unique. And then it's basically just translating however they set it up.
But this does tie into another question that the audience has raised, which is, after 2.5, will there be additional patches for the Infinity Engine in the future? And the answer is yes, but the hope is that 2.5 will get the games into a really solid state so that 2.6 can take its time. We can really make that patch awesome, get all the achievements that you guys are looking for. And so the answer is yes, you're going to see more work on IE in the future.
So here's a question. Okay, who was responsible, and probably needs to be shamed, for the dirty fighting feat? Sacrifice all other attacks per round for an extra 1d4, and will it be changed in EE? No, the original dirty fighting feat was actually implemented by a BioWare employee called Ernst P. Ziglo.
Ernst P. Ziglo.
Ernst P. Ziglo was actually a fictional employee. And we invented him just to take the blame for things like this. So you should hate Ernst P. Ziglo. And,
Ernst P. Ziglo,
yep, and,
Tibor, Biff the understudy, just a cavalcade of assholes.
Yes, they're all made-up people just to take your ire. Admittedly, that kind of sucks. An extra 1d4 to sacrifice, probably decent for like first or second level, and then it just doesn't scale.
Well, why? Well, it was actually a feat in the 3rd edition, right?
It was. What probably happened is it got halfway implemented, and nobody cared enough about dirty fighting to dig into it. It's like, so I could take this dirty fighting thing, or I could take cleave. I'm totally taking cleave, dude.
I would assume that the way dirty fighting is supposed to work is that like every few levels it just does another d4 or something. So if indeed it is 1d4 forever, that's basically a broken feat.
Yeah, that's half the code got written. And
we should fix that, because otherwise it's like, hey, this feat does effectively nothing. Great.
Yeah.
What about, question from the audience, what about to release the unhard-coded open code of Infinity Engine games in order to avoid to lose it like the Icewind? I think this question is asking why not open source the Infinity Engine so that we don't lose it.
Because the Infinity Engine is joint property between BioWare, Electronic Arts, and us. And because of that, it is locked up tighter than a bank vault.
If I could get a genie and get a wish, and that wish had to be related to open sourcing something, I would probably open source the Infinity Engine.
Really?
I mean, you know, in a while. We'll send all the source code to the GMRB guys and call it a day. Have fun.
I think we did that.
Question from the audience. Phil, please say the phrase something, something, something. I love the Russian community.
First,
okay, I'm going to
say that,
phonetically...
no, do it through run it through a translator. Never say anything without verifying it.
I'm pretty sure I know what that says. I don't think you could hide a bad word in there.
Dude.
It's Ya Lublyo Ruskoye community. I feel like I'm butchering it. I'm sorry. Yeah,
but that's why it's set to Google Translate, because you can hear how it's actually pronounced.
Ruskoye community. Yeah, all right, let's hear. Actually, we can't hear it because we don't have audio from that machine. Okay, well then I did not do it right, so I'm sorry, but I do love the Russian community.
Well, I think we love the community in general. We think everybody's
That's true.
Awesome.
Had I infinitely more time, I would spend it hanging out with community people.
Oh, we're going to give away a t-shirt.
Yeah, I guess it's time, isn't it?
Musa Bossman!
Musa Bossman! The guy from Episode 1, Star Wars, the big fat frog dude that was the king of the...
Gungan people.
The Gungans. The Gungas.
Yeah, he was one of the Gungans.
Apparently during the development of Episode 1, the name kept changing. It was Gungans, Gundas, Guntas, Gorpas, Gorps.
I would like to bring the gift of fire to the Gungan people.
All right,
nuclear fire.
Last bit of marketing news here. Big shout out to Obsidian Entertainment for launching Pillars of Eternity 2.
Ciao.
Deadfire.
You guys got her
Hunt a God, Save Your Soul, which is in contrast to Baldur's Gate 2, which was Hunt Your Soul, Save a God Tree. You don't remember that part? The tree with the... Yeah, you remember.
You're going too deep into it, man.
That's what people love.
Killing the mystery.
They love those deep cuts.
And big shout out to Versus Evil as the publisher.
Oh yeah,
that's a good score.
That is a big score.
Good score.
So Pillars 2 is getting crazy good reviews. It looks gorgeous, and I recommend that you go check it out if you're looking for a spiritual successor, one of the many spiritual successors to Baldur's Gate. Pillars of Eternity 2 is super awesome.
I actually haven't played it yet.
I haven't had time to play the sequel yet either. I had a great time in the first game, and people are saying that it's objectively an upgrade over every aspect of the original. So
I have to be honest, I didn't love Pillars.
Towards the end, especially that final boss, it was a bit of a slog because like it's a complex system, and if you don't pick it up right away, you're going to end up screwing yourself over later in the game. So that final boss was
I may have screwed
real
myself
pain in the
over,
ass.
and as a result, had a bad experience.
Yeah.
My
So
fault, not
if
the game.
if you guys have tips for how to play Pillars well, please send them to Trent. I'll put his number on the stream, and you can just text him, hey, you should use Pallegina. Don't use Eater because he's just a hick. There you go. We'll talk about more.
You know how much free time I have? I have -3 free time. -3.
I don't know. All right, Beamdog news. We're still hiring. We're still looking for technical artists. We're looking for programmers. We're looking for people who are interested in working on consoles.
Yep.
So that includes the Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation 4,
yes,
and of course the Xbox One.
And all various flavors and incantations
Of
thereof.
course, there's the PS Pro.
Or
There's the
incarnations thereof.
Xbox One X.
There's the S and the X.
SX, the
Where's
Atari.
the E coming out?
Yeah, the new Atari is of course going to be a monster of a console. Have you seen the specs on this thing? Joystick has 2 buttons.
2.
That's more than 1.
That is. That's way more than 1. It's too many.
So please send us your resume. We're looking for people local or who are willing to relocate to Edmonton because I really just need to be able to stand behind you and gaze angrily at the back of your head because that's how I find that encourages the most productivity.
It's the key to thought transfer.
Now, we've tried setting up like a webcam remotely behind somebody just aimed at the back of their head.
Same.
It's not because you don't get the breathing. You don't get like...
On another topic of not hassling employees and breaking HR codes, 2.5 update, Phil.
2.5
What's up
update.
with the 2.5 update?
Well, Icewind Dale is now available for 2.5, and Baldur's Gate 2 just got its localization beta update. So all you Germans out there, you can stop burning effigies of me because we finally got all the German stuff in there, including videos and stuff. So we actually had a long discussion about like optimizing and getting everything to fit because there's the mobile app size limit, and getting all the localized videos in there is going to increase the limit. And ultimately we were like, hey, we just did some other stuff that saved us like 500 megs, so why don't we just shove all of the localized stuff in there and call it a day? So we did.
Fair enough.
And luckily, since BG initially shipped, the App Store app limits have been raised, so it's less of an issue.
Yeah. So there was a suggestion, not a question, but a suggestion that we relocate our office to the West Coast.
I tried doing this every day. I go into Trent's office, and I'm like, look at all this real estate that I've found. I've figured out a shipping company for us, and every day he slaps me across the head.
I still think buy an oil tanker, and we'll convert the oil containers into office space, and we'll just plant grass on the deck, and we'll build some apartments into it, and we will Waterworld style sail around the world and develop games.
Do you remember Sealand, that little platform off the coast of the UK?
Yep.
That's what we should do. We should make Beamland. We should take over an old oil derrick or something out in the ocean and just install guns on there and just get like a little Waterworld thing going on.
Why are you going to need guns, man?
Because people are going to try and take it back. Do you remember the history of Sealand? A bunch of Dutch mercenaries tried to take this thing over, and they had a running gun battle in order to take it back from them. It was crazy.
That is crazy.
You don't believe me. He thinks I'm making it up. You're going to look it up later, and you're going to be like, wow, he wasn't bullshitting me.
I always do that, Phil. I always double check.
It's
not that I don't trust you. It's just sometimes you bullshit me.
Question for the audience. Does Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition allow for a system to be implemented that permits players from seeing each other's inventories, say during pickpocket attempts?
So is that a question of does it allow you to see or not see?
I think they're asking, could someone build a system using the new features of the Enhanced Edition?
Where you could snoop your...
or you couldn't snoop somebody else's inventory.
Could snoop or couldn't snoop?
That permits... Well, the language is a little... That permits players from seeing each other's inventories.
Okay, so blocking it.
Yeah, that's how I would interpret it. I actually don't know, but I imagine that with the features of Neverwinter X, wouldn't you be able to, the extender, wouldn't you be able to do that?
Hard to say. That's getting pretty deep. So Neverwinter, because it's a multiplayer game from the core, the whole inventory system is very transactional based. Like when I go to give something to you, Phil, I hand it to you, and before you get it, it validates, did Trent give it up? Okay, remove it from Trent, now grant it to Phil. So everything's very transactional. So what that request is, I think it would require some custom work, specifically with how segmented that inventory system is to prevent item duping and all of the issues that go along with it.
I mean, implementing it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because ultimately it's however the restriction is defined. We say if that's not true, then don't send them the inventory data. But maybe look into it with the NWN extender and see if you can do it. And if you can't do it with the stuff that's currently in the engine, find out why and then pitch it to us as a feature that we could implement.
Here's another question. What shader is Neverwinter Nights using now? Blin, Fong? The answer is it is using a mash of different shading techniques. Some of them not working so well. This is one of our kind of big topics is Neverwinter lighting. Okay, there's what it was, and there's what it could be. What do we want it to be? So we're really trying to think about what is the future of Neverwinter's graphical look from a shading standpoint. And the goal is to not blow up the old stuff, but at the same time to allow us to kind of really gain the benefit of the new assets and the new texture formats we're putting in. So this is an ongoing discussion and will take us a while to figure it out.
Question from the audience. Do you know what the next 5th edition book adventure is going to be and when it comes out? The answer is yes, I do know, but I'm not going to tell you, because if I did, then I would get in trouble.
You would be breaking an NDA and somebody would come up and shank you.
Yeah. Cool stuff, though. I think Wizards has deeply, deeply upped their game.
I think you should watch the stream of many eyes.
Yeah, you should.
Maybe they'll say words and show things. How is the UI update going? The answer is slowly.
But we now have a, well, I won't go into the specifics of it, but we've got a plan that basically there's a waterfall of features that will be coming to the desktop version.
Yes.
Did I say desktop version?
You
I didn't
said
mean to say that.
version.
I mean the only version that exists.
Yeah, you mean by desktop you're trying to just roll up Linux and Mac
of
and
course,
PC.
that's what I meant.
Because that's when we refer to desktop, we refer to those three. There is no other version.
Do the developers at Beamdog use Substance Painter? Yeah, they do.
We do.
I think that's how the swords and the axes were done. And Boyd is currently working on shields right now. So you're going to see another batch of equipment in the near future.
Dude, you totally gave it up.
Well, is it a big secret?
By the way, shank is a prison term for stabbing.
It is a prison term for stabbing.
I learned that from Oz.
A shank is both the device that you use to stab and also the action of
the
stabbing.
So,
it's true.
Yeah. A lot of I used to use a lot of language when I was at Bioware from the show Oz. I used to call everybody in the office Gen Pop.
Did you have like a crazy spinning wheelchair?
No, it didn't. But I would refer to There was some
comment from the audience. Phil needs to be shanked. I agree. And here's why. No, I won't get into it. All right, let's talk about the developer branch update for Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition, which is going out right after the stream.
Yeah, 8171. So in the interest of not utterly shanking our bandwidth by pushing an update while we're talking to you, we're going to hold off until we're done, and then we'll push up 8171.
This is some pro-internet infrastructure here. Thank you very much, Shaw. You're the best.
You would think dual Shaw 250 pipes tied together could handle some streaming and some uploading at the same time.
I gotta stop torrenting Law and Order.
You get it. So the branch coming out is 8171.
Yep.
We're still working with Intel, trying to get to the bottom of the HD crashes that we're having with them. Progress is slow, but their team has found it and duplicated the bug, and now they are digging into it to see what they can do. I haven't got any feedback back on whether there's going to be a new driver issue or if they found a workaround for it. So I'm walking the line of pestering them to the point of them still taking my communication. So I'm walking a fine line there.
Well, ultimately depends on how long is it going to take for them to roll out a new driver. And if it's a really long time, then we would have to look into a workaround.
When it also comes down to how broad they can roll out said driver.
Yeah, that's the other question is like how far back do they patch Intel HD drivers? Who knows?
So another thing we've done, the material shader parameters that we added in 8170 are now persistent to GFF data. So player character vaults, save games, everything, that data will go with it.
So that means you can have crazy custom shaders associated with a particular character.
And when you save stuff out, it actually saves.
Yeah, so it won't get reset every time you load.
We got to fix crash when setting shader parameters on objects without an animation base. Oh, anim base. How I remember writing your first iteration.
Oh, the Shadow Guard premium module, there's an issue with the autosave titling there, and that's been fixed up.
It's hard to believe a damn file name could cause that much trouble. Like, seriously?
Well, and as well, NTFS versus ext3, one cares about file capitalization, the other one doesn't.
So many letters.
I mean, I get why Microsoft did it, and it was probably not a dumb idea, but it was also kind of a dumb idea. Anyways, going on.
Yep. The answer is you should just burn it all down and start over.
Yeah, I clearly know more than Microsoft engineers all throughout the 80s and 90s.
So we had a crash when joining server with hacks, multiple hacks. That's been fixed. The whirlwind attack feat that people were very
praise the sun
vociferously telling us about has been fixed.
Yep.
We fixed an issue with some corpses some creatures not spawning lootable corpses, so that would be annoying. You murder it and you don't get its stuff.
And doesn't that just tick you off in real life?
Yep.
Get it?
We fixed the fog going all black in some areas. It's actually a volunteer effort by a new addition to our little gang.
This is why Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition kicks ass, because there's an active community that gets to contribute to the development.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome. We also fixed some scripting events, so on spell cast at, on melee attacked, on perception, and on combat round end. They actually fire the scripts properly now, like one would expect them to, as opposed to being a facade which just tormented you endlessly by making it appear that said scripts would function.
So you will see this patch in the very, very near future, shortly after this stream is done. It's been smoked. It looks good. Our amazing QA team has been doing an amazing job with these games. And I hope you enjoy the new dev branch. Now, the obvious question that comes next is, when is this stuff going to get pushed to the mainline branch? And that's kind of what we're working on right now.
Yeah, we call it internally, the language is 8175. That's going to be the 175 build, is what we've been calling it. That'll be kind of our stability target. So that's what we're aiming on.
Stable to the point that we feel we could push it out to the mass audience.
Yeah. Here's a question. Have you made progress on the resource limit of modules since the last time someone asked about it? Not yet, but we're kind of doing some looking at the code from the 64-bit side, and part of the looking at things from the 64-bit side is examining why certain fields are the size that they are.
There are a lot of issues going to 64-bit, and it's kind of like, yeah, you can search and replace all you want, but once you start running the game, you have to look for all those millions of edge cases that aren't immediately apparent.
And beyond that, I mean, we have to work with existing data, which is 32-bit based in a 64-bit.
So it's a challenge, but it's a challenge we signed up for, and we're going to do it.
Somebody who's got a very green name there said, "You guys are great." I'm very happy.
I appreciate that.
I like it when people say
the developers appreciate it. I really have no involvement with Neverwinter Nights. I just show up on Fridays and I'm like, "What are we doing today, folks?"
I'm gonna read a list and play a game, and I'm gonna say stuff.
Let's play Warcraft 2 for 20 minutes.
Somebody's asking for screens of the new shields. We don't have
not ready yet, but they are currently underway and they're looking real hot. There's actually, if you want a fan version, if you go into the workshop on Steam right now, somebody did sort of an HD version of the existing shields.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Kind of neat. But our shields are going to be... So basically what we do is we take the original artwork for each item.
Yeah, which I actually did. I built all the weapons and items in Neverwinter Nights in between the hours of 6 and 10 p.m. at night, as a way to maintain sanity after an entire day of working in game development.
So even back in the Neverwinter Nights days, he was forging weapons for you.
It wasn't forging. It was.
It sounds cooler if you call it forging. I'm just saying.
Totally was not forging. I was polygon mashing.
Okay, we'll call it porging. Because it's P. There you go. He was porging weapons. Question from the or comment from the audience. I would like to see Phil play one of the Nancy Drew adventure games to start the stream. Nancy Drew and I don't get along. We had a big blow up a few months ago, and I was like, "Girl, you go back to Encyclopedia Brown and you get out of my face." So maybe we'll do it. Pick a good one and send it to me.
Here's a comment. Thanks for the Z-axis movement in the editor.
Oh yeah, that's actually super cool.
Yep.
What I'd love to see is like an ability to not just jump, but like tween between points. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think that'd be fun.
Phil,
I said what I'd like. I'm not promising anything.
It's like, look, here's a cool new thing. Oh, that's lovely. Can I have the moon? I like the moon. The moon would be nice.
I'm
like,
fighting,
no, you may not have the moon.
For you folks.
You may have your thing and you may be happy with it.
I'm the part of the audience
God
in this
damn
stream.
you, Phil. God damn you.
Can you make it free? No? Okay.
No.
Last development on update for Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition did not talk to or post to GameSpy. I'm not quite sure what that means.
Yeah, GameSpy is dead.
GameSpy has been down for almost a decade now, I think. Maybe rephrase it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we answered that one.
We built our own architecture that kind of took over what GameSpy used to do.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying the dev branch wasn't talking to the master server? Because it should be.
It should be, yes.
Yeah. Neverwinter EE Steam GOG achievements when? Eventually. We're taking a look at the campaign. We're looking at the work that's involved.
Actually, yeah, we
so
somebody just started at Beamdog last week.
Yeah, we have somebody actively looking at it. So eventually.
Shout out to Elise. We got high hopes.
We do.
Shall we give away a T-shirt?
We should. To
win back the audience's trust after our merciless ravaging of GameSpy, which they all loved. Everybody loved GameSpy. There was no issues with it. Everyone was like, man, if only BattleNet had gone away and we could just use GameSpy for everything. And then on Mac, it was like Game Ranger. That's what I want. An amazing service that never fails.
Do you know, I only got in an argument with Ray once where I raised my voice, and I actually had to leave the room, and it was about GameSpy. That was the core of it.
I got in one shouting match once, and I won't say with who because you know who it is. And it was some trivial thing, but it was the only time I can remember just being so angry that my brow began to twitch and I had to leave.
It's always fun when you have to leave the room because
I know.
Yeah. So I grew up on a farm, if anybody didn't know, and there was a large separation between the house and the shop. So you would yell to the shop to get somebody's attention, come up for dinner or whatever. So I come from a family of very good yellers, and once you've done the yelling thing in somebody's face at full outside voice volume, you got nowhere to go. You literally, it's like the next move has to be dunk, and somebody gets a pop. So that is the point where you need to walk away. But if you have used full outside voice in someone's face, you're in a dark place already.
Look to the animal kingdom. They figured this out, man. If birds max out their volume, they just start doing crazy dances to try and intimidate the other person. You don't need to immediately go to pop them in the mouth, man. All right, let's give away a shirt. The winner of a Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition T-shirt, which is beautiful and amazing. Trent is wearing one right now. He's got the eye there. Hey, what is that eye? Is there a story with that eye?
That is the lizard eye.
That's the lizard eye from the creator race or whatever.
Yeah, the creator race from Neverwinter Nights.
Right, okay.
That's what the eye is. And
See,
then the extra bits on it are just to make it
You can tell that they were more evolved than us because they have 3 tear ducts compared to our 1. So they can cry 3 times as efficiently. The winner of the T-shirt is Solmerker? Solmerker. Solmier. Solmerker.
Yeah, we will sit there for a while.
We're the worst people alive. All right.
Yes.
Question from the audience. Could we get Neverwinter Nights lingerie made? We'll see.
I'm not sure where that came from.
I misread it.
For Neverwinter EE, like Magic Initiate, that allows rogues to cast a single first-level arcane spell and other stuff that would diversify character builds?
Maybe.
I think that's one of the goals, is to open things up and allow more interesting stuff. I don't know specifically about Magic Initiate as a feat.
Well, there's that request standing still, or outstanding, sorry, for letting you have more classes for multi-class, I believe.
Yeah, beyond 3, because the UI is currently hard-coded around 3.
So if that were indeed possible at some point in the future, you could probably start creating some pretty wild classes, and I don't know if adding a class like Magic Initiate is as worthwhile as adding the ability to do more multi-class stuff. I will say that if in the future, if we were to ever make like a big new Neverwinter thing, we would look into that sort of stuff.
Yeah, hard code less.
Yeah, and add cool stuff that didn't get added.
A big part of that was the Radial Menu. I always wanted stuff to be in the same position. So being able to hard lock, okay, 3 classes. That was a real boon for doing those kind of things.
So the Radial Menu,
Yes.
there had been many attempts at doing a Radial Menu in the past, and then often just kind of fell flat on its face. Like Planescape Torment's original Radial was
So the truth of Radials is Maya, I forget which version of it, but the 3D package brought in Radials, and they used them a lot, and they were quite good. So all the 3D artists out there were convinced that Radials were a gift from God. And everyone who had used Maya for a bit, but not a ton, because when you use it too much, you start to realize the restrictions and why Radials kind of have a weak spot. But anybody who used Maya a bit loved it and thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I used Maya for a bit, and I thought Radial Menus were awesome. I was like, we're going to do a Radial Menu, and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be 8 directions, so it could map to a controller, and it'll be great. And, yeah.
So about that controller thing, so when you guys were developing Neverwinter, was console a thing that you had in mind at that time, or were you thinking about like desktop controller?
Console was a glimmer of a thought.
Yeah.
It was always, hey, this is a PC game, but wouldn't it be neat if it could work on a console at some point?
And I guess ultimately that wish kind of came true because Aurora became Odyssey, which then became Jade.
Yeah,
so it did kind of go
did
to.
we call it for Jade?
Yeah, do you guys remember what the Jade Empire iteration of Aurora was called? I know that KOTOR was Odyssey and Dragon Age was Eclipse.
I just
remember somebody told it to me the other day.
I remember us calling it Buffalo because native peoples in history, they used all the
parts of the buffalo.
Every last bit. So the idea was that Jade Empire would use every bit of that engine and chewing on the bones and the gristle and getting it all done.
Question from the audience. I'm not a developer or an artist. How can I work for Beamdog as an IT professional? Send us your resume because I think we're going to be moving in the near future. And maybe, I don't know, if you get me a new office, Trent.
I don't want to get you a new
We're
office.
packed to the gills here. There's people in bunk beds up to the ceiling.
I'm going to pitch you a tent on the roof.
All right, actually, that'd be nice. It's summer. I'd be okay with that.
Tent office.
That'd be fun.
Come about November, it'll get a little rough.
That is a position we're going to be looking for in the near future, so stay tuned.
We're still thinking about that, though.
Yeah. Well, we
got a lot of things on our minds.
We got to divvy it up the right way.
I have troubled thoughts.
What about Steam achievements and trading cards? Are they coming soon? This is actually a question earlier, and your answer was...
We're looking at it.
Yeah,
there are salaried personnel with eyes on this issue.
Yes. There are salaried personnel with eyes on many issues, and they're all just very slowly.
But some stuff is progressing, yeah. Some stuff is actually moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, you know what we haven't done for a while? We haven't looked at the Trello.
We should look at the Trello board.
We should look at the Trello.
So the Trello is actually being updated right now, I believe. Our wonderful Robin has been keeping the Trello board up to date for you guys. So let's take a look at what's on there right now. So we got stuff that's in the proposed section. Trent, tell us about the proposed section.
Update the OCs to the current patch levels. That really comes down to updating, we're calling it the Wailing Death now, based on suggestions from the community.
It's a cool name.
It is. It's accurate, too. It also doesn't give away the whole plot with lizardmen and shit. So
it's
that's
not
cool.
the crying 3 tear duct eye.
But what you can do with the henchmen in the later versions, like Hordes of the Underdark, you get a lot more power, a lot more controllability. Still not quite enough, but better. People asked us to kind of bring those features back to the original campaign stuff. So we're actually looking into that pretty hard right now.
Yep.
It's in the proposed because we're still discussing exactly how that happens, but it's something we're taking a quick look at. Quick loot's it was a kind of a workaround solution that Corey did. Corey put into Baldur's Gate.
It was really clever.
I just want to pick up stuff, and this game is really a pain in the ass to go searching through every damn chest and all the bodies on the floor.
So Quick Loot is an innovation that Corey cooked up, and I think it's real smart, and we should bring it to Neverwinter. The one tricky bit is because Neverwinter has such a multiplayer context, we have to very securely implement this so you're not picking from piles that you shouldn't be, or multiple people picking at the same time.
Yeah, multiple people picking at the same time. That would that's definitely going to be a hassle.
But that's definitely coming.
Here's a question: how's your server hack auto downloader coming along?
I've seen it.
Please say it is coming along. I have seen data being transferred from a point to another point. So
well, I've seen that too in a million contexts.
Within a Neverwinter context. So it's a ways off still because it is a labyrinth puzzle to solve, but at the same time there is some progress in that area.
I witnessed a small Neverwinter pull down data and become a big Neverwinter and then launch itself. I saw that happen.
I have not seen that, and I doubt.
As God as my witness, I saw a turkey fly. All right.
When I was a kid, we actually had turkeys, we had ducks, and we had geese.
Really? Did you eat them?
Of course. What else do you do with ducks and geese? Actually, the geese, coyotes got them. They were jerk coyotes, too. Rather than being like normal coyotes and like, oh, I'm going to kill one and eat it. It's like, let's kill 30 and we'll just rip the hearts out of them.
Do you want to?
Coyotes are jerks, man.
Do you want to hear a really sad story about some ducks?
I don't know. I really like.
Let's save it for the very end of the stream.
Okay.
We'll just go out on a downer.
Okay. Here's another question. Any further exploration or advancement removing the 14K file limit? This one was asked earlier. Again, it's one of those things that we're kind of rolling through with the 64-bit. It's going to get poked. So.
Oops.
What else do we got?
We got the ice box.
Let's look at some short-term actives, stuff that's happening.
Short-term active. Update SDL. Ooh, that's a good one.
SDL is a library we use to make our games work across multiple platforms.
So this is like controller input, audio control settings.
No, it's really, it's like grab me a graphic context, grab me a graphic window. So it can do it on Mac, it can do it on Linux, it can do it on Windows. It makes cross-platform development a lot easier. And unfortunately, older versions don't kind of support things as well. So by moving it forward, it's one of those great things.
Fair enough.
So this is in progress. I have seen people actually working on this.
Question from the audience: have you looked into or thought about using Fig as a pitching/investing platform for future games?
So we've chatted back and forth with the Fig guys. I still kind of have those issues, the same issues I have with Kickstarter, which is it's kind of like going up on stage and you drop your pants and either everybody cheers or everybody laughs.
A more specific issue with Fig is that we don't own the D&D license. And that introduces some complexity involved in crowdsourcing and funding and stuff. So we're interested in that idea, but there are very practical reasons why we can't really pursue it right now. So that's about as vague as I can make it.
Here's a question. Is there any new stuff coming to Workshop?
Yeah.
As soon as Boyd's done Shields, it'll be up.
Yeah, we got some more stuff coming.
Yep.
And just basically throughout the summer, you're going to see cool stuff showing up.
We're just going to keep popping stuff up.
Yeah, and then once we've got like a critical mass of content, we'll do some more stuff with it, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Here's a question. Are these shirts available to purchase? And the answer is no, because we actually don't have merch rights. We can only do them on a promotional basis, which means we have to give them away for free.
So if you want to buy a t-shirt that's just a Beamdog B or like a picture of my face, yeah, we can do that. You send me a private message. I'll hook you up with my cafe press.
Yep. Here's our question. What is your vision for adding new content? Do you plan to mostly focus on the back-end stuff and leave most of the new models, textures, classes, races, creation to the community? Somewhere in the middle. So our plan is to create new stuff, but it's all a question of how do we kind of package that new stuff. And I'm really interested in kind of the small-scale expansion pack model, where it's kind of somewhere between a premium module and an expansion. So that's really the direction I want to go. And I want that to be a combination of new design content, new mechanics, and new art. So
can I talk about mechanics that I want to do, or am I not? Okay,
you're not allowed.
All right, whatever.
I don't want to hear what you want anyway. I don't care.
I just want to gauge.
It's all about me, man.
I want to gauge their reaction when I say we're going to add like first-person shooting mode, so you can run around just gunning down the kobolds.
And when Phil says when we add, that's funny, man. Here's a question: how many people work on Neverwinter Nights EE right now?
That is a good question. Are we including QA? Let's include QA.
Let's include QA, and let's also include the O guys.
So it's under 10, I think.
Including?
It might be like 11 or 12 if we include those guys.
Are you allocating yourself and myself as well?
Kind of. Even though
as
like
a half person.
Yeah, let's include ourselves as a half person.
So I think the truth is under 15 right now, but
it scales as well depending on what we're doing, and as well like there are people working on Neverwinter that aren't necessarily working on features you're going to see right away.
Yep.
So I guess we can include those and say under 15.
There's probably 3 separate groups active in the Neverwinter project right now. So.
Question from the audience: will premium modules or other content from you be encrypted like the existing ones, i.e. will we be able to modify them in the tool set? I would like to make them modifiable. It's really up to this gentleman.
It's one of those lines we got to walk. Like, the Neverwinter tool set is really powerful, and it basically allows you to say, oh, there's a premium module, I'll just buy that. And then I'll call it Trent's premium module. I'll load it in the tool set. Trent's premium module. I'll save it and I'll share it with all my friends. Meaning that the hundreds of thousands of dollars we invested in making the premium module just.
I mean, ultimately that's just piracy, and obviously we wouldn't want that. Yeah. But I think like any content that you do that with, you could steal and throw online, and so. As long as that's not an issue, as long as like people aren't stealing the content and spreading it online, then we won't need to do DRM. I would say
philosophically, we're all for allowing people to open it up in the tool set and see how we did stuff.
For me, that's the whole point of doing a new expansion. I mean, obviously, it's fun for people who want to play it, but for creators, like we put all this stuff together to show you, hey, this is the new Neverwinter. This is how you make cool stuff.
But there's also the hope that people would actually be able to play it and enjoy it.
Well, yes, that's the main reason. But I have that in mind, so I want to put these tools into the hands of the users who are going to make cool stuff with it.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't encrypt the official campaign stuff. It's just renamed, so you just grab it and rename it. You can load it in the tool set. The premium modules were kind of I don't know. That was a phase we went through at BioWare.
It was an interesting era because that was like, what, 06 or 07 that they started that up? Earlier than that. And at that point, like, yeah, Steam was a thing, but it wasn't as big of a thing. And every company under the sun was thinking about, like, can we become our own store? Can we become our own distributor? So I remember years and years ago, I actually met with you at BioWare early in the BioWare store days because you guys were considering third-party titles.
Yes.
And that ended up not happening, but it was an interesting time. Everybody was like, hey, we could get into the ground floor, make our own store. And 10 years later, we'll be Valve.
You know, Valve actually approached us as being one of their prime partners on Steam back in the Baldur's Gate era.
That would have been wise.
And everybody was like, there will never be enough internet bandwidth to be able to download entire games.
I never understood that perspective.
Baldur's Gate fits on 5 CDs. Can you imagine 5 CDs over the interwebs? How is that even possible?
I never ever understood that perspective of like Steam will never work because people won't want to download games. And I'm like, man, like, are you not paying attention to what's happening with the recently hugely popular iPod? Every song under the sun is coming down online, and it's only like 2002. So what the hell, guys?
So here's a question: what are those 3 Neverwinter Nights EE groups working on right now?
Well.
So there's the core group who is working on the core Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition experience, which are focused on really the Trello, updating things, moving things forward. There's a new content team.
There's a new content
team, which is
team,
doing new stuff, like
very preliminary.
You've seen
work.
kind of the axes and so on, and shields and stuff will continue to kind of roll out. And then there's the third team, which will not be named and which will not be discussed because they are off.
They are off doing interesting
deep hidden
things.
in the woods, doing things and stuff. Stuff and things.
Question from the audience: are we getting our first Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition premium module June 1st to the 3rd? I don't know.
Why so specific in the timing?
Yeah, like you've got an agenda here, buddy. What are you trying to say here?
What if we can't hit that date?
What if
we don't have a content in time?
What if we get so wrapped up in cosplaying that we fall into it and we never come back out?
And we deny the real world.
Yeah, could happen.
Could happen. You become Rasad forever.
That street that they're building.
It should be pretty cool.
All right. We should give away another T-shirt. We have like 4 minutes left. I feel like that's a good time to give away a T-shirt and tell a sad duck story.
Okay, I never got your sad duck story. So first we'll give off the T-shirt so that people can just log off and not have to listen to your duck story.
It's not even my story. I'm stealing it.
Last T-shirt, Jolin Lottie.
Joe Lennell Oddie. We're bad people. We're just terrible.
You are a bad person, Phil. I'm a good person.
So the sad duck story. So my buddy Steve, I'm sorry for stealing your heartbreaking story here, but it's just hilarious.
Okay.
He lived on a farm over in like somewhere in BC around Dawson Creek, I think.
Okay.
So just over the border. And they had a farm, and they had a pond behind the house over this hill, and ducks would live there. And so little young Steve, every day, he would take his bucket of duck feed and walk up the hill and down to the ducks, and the ducks would come and say hello, and they were his friend. And one day, he gets his bucket of duck feed, and he puts on his little rubber boots, and he trundles up the hill, and he looks down, and there's a fox ripping them apart, just massacring these ducks, and the poor guy is just heartbroken.
Yep.
And even today, when he tells the story, I can see the vacant look in his eyes, as if he experienced a war.
I had the same experience when I was talking about the coyotes. I went out to check on the geese, and they were literally sprayed all over the walls. Like they used to sleep on these poles that were about 6 feet high. Apparently, coyotes can jump pretty high because they just ripped them all apart, and they
like a chicken lollipop.
They didn't even eat them. They just tore the hearts out of them. And they're like, these are the good bits. Let's just leave the rest of it. So there's like chewed up, mangled goose carcass everywhere. When I was a kid, I used to walk to the bus, and the geese used to follow me out to the bus, and we'd have to go back and pull them back in.
Speaking of geese, there's a goose that was kind of nesting on top of an AC unit outside of our window. So, like BioWare, they had that goose there for a while. Maybe we'll have a goose soon.
Hopefully not.
Little goslings.
Geese are jerks, man.
Everybody hates on geese. They're like, geese are jerks. They hiss at people.
I have fought a goose.
And they hit you with their wing, and it feels like a baseball bat. And it's like, come on.
I went toe-to-toe with a goose.
How did that work out for you?
He was shot from a distance by a guy, and he was hurt. And I was like, oh, God, this isn't fair. Somebody's going to have to put him down. And I didn't have a gun or a knife or anything. So I'm like, I'm gonna do the chicken thing. I'm gonna grab him by the neck, and I'm gonna break his neck. So I've got this goose by the neck, and he's beating the tar out of me as I'm trying to strangle him and snap his neck. So in the end, I won, but that was a hard fight. Never.
I gotta say, until you said you won, the conclusion was kind of.
The right answer, if you see a goose that you think needs to get put down, is you go and you get a really big gun and you stand at a distance and take him out. Afterwards,
you realized that the goose hadn't been shot. You were just strangling it to death for no reason.
I saw it get hit. I saw the guy in a pickup truck shoot it.
And you used every part of the goose afterwards.
Actually, no. I went to a friend's car that he left open, and I put the goose in the driver's seat with its wings up on his steering wheel.
Were you trying to send him a message? Be a real shame if something happened to Canada.
We had to duct tape him to the seat to keep him upright. Oh, we were bad people.
I thought I was a bad kid. I remember we had pets that would just rip apart the local wildlife, and so there'd be like dead rabbits just in the middle of the driveway. And my mom would be like, "Oh, get rid of the corpse in the yard." And we were next to a big church, so I'm like, "You get him on the shovel." And there's this big like mound of blackberry bushes separating us from the church. So I'm like, well, if I just huck him over there, he'll land in the middle of the blackberry bushes and whatever. I did not understand my teenage strength when I lobbed it over like a catapult into the parking lot of the church, and then I hightailed it back inside because I don't want to clean that up. I'm 16. I got to go play Star Ocean. Come on.
It's dark, Phil.
And, all right.
On that note,
let's get out of here. Have some fun, guys. We've gone over time, so we'll see you next Friday, and we will continue to waste your time with tales of teenage animal abuse. And
I was trying to do good, man. I was trying to put it down, which that was hard.
We're gonna get arrested for abusing geese. Okay, so signing off on the Goose stream. We'll see you guys next Friday. Until then, go check out Neverwinter Nights Development Branch. We're pushing 8171. See you guys later.